The first time I saw him, I wanted to pour my coffee over his smug face. The second time, I almost did. You'd think in a city with 5 Starbucks on every corner and an endless number of indie cafes scattered across downtown Chicago, I'd never have to deal with the same stranger twice. But somehow, fate or maybe bad luck decided to sit him directly in my path, occupying the exact table I had claimed as my personal sanctuary for over a year. My table. The one tucked against the far window with just enough sunlight in the mornings, a perfect view of the passing crowd, and a discreet corner for me to write without interruption. That table had been mine since the first day I dragged my laptop into Latte Haven, desperate for a quiet escape from my loud roommates. It was more than a table. It was the only place where my thoughts felt like they belonged. And then he came along, tall, sharp, and annoyingly charismatic. He had this habit of lounging in the chair like it was a throne, long legs crossed, a book in one hand, coffee in the other. He didn't glance at me when I hovered, hoping he'd notice that he was sitting in my spot. No, he just smirked at the page like the world belonged to him. That was 1 year ago. Now he's the owner of the cafe. And every damn morning, he still sits at my table like he's daring me to challenge him. It's 8 a.m. sharp when I walk into Latte Haven, my laptop bag slung over my shoulder, already bracing myself for the daily battle. The bell over the door jingles, and the comforting smell of roasted coffee beans hits me. A few regulars nod in recognition. I nod back, but my eyes are laser-focused on the far corner. And there he is. As always, he looks like he stepped out of some romance drama. Messy chestnut hair that catches the light, a casual gray sweater that somehow clings perfectly to his frame, and that smug half-smile tugging at his lips when he notices me. Like clockwork, he raises his cup slightly, a silent toast, before taking a slow sip. "Morning, Ethan," he calls out, his voice smooth, casual, like we're friends, like he doesn't torture me daily. I grit my teeth. "Morning, Adrian." Adrian. Of course his name had to sound like it belonged in a novel. "Your usual table's taken," he says with mock innocence, gesturing at the chair across from him. "But lucky for you, I've got an extra seat." He does this every day, pretends he's being generous, when really he knows he's driving me insane. "You know that table was mine before you even stepped foot in here," I snap. "And now it's mine," he replies with infuriating calm. Perks of being the owner. Oh right, the owner. He bought the place 6 months ago out of nowhere. One day the sweet elderly couple who had run Latte Haven were gone, and suddenly Adrian was behind the counter, looking like he'd been born to charm every customer who walked through the door. He didn't just own the cafe, he owned every moment I spent here. Still, I sit. Because as much as I hate it, as much as I hate him, the table really is the best one. I open my laptop and try to focus on my writing. Words should come easily today. I have a deadline breathing down my neck, but my fingers freeze above the keyboard. I can feel his eyes on me. "You always type like the keys personally offended you," Adrian comments, sipping his coffee. "Maybe they did," I mutter. He chuckles, low and warm. "What are you working on this time?" "Another tragic short story where everyone dies." I glare at him. "It's called literary depth." "Aha!" He leans closer, and for a second, I catch a whiff of his cologne, something subtle, like cedar and warmth. "Or maybe you just like breaking hearts on paper, because you're too scared to let anyone close enough to break yours." My chest tightens. He says it so casually, like he's joking, but his eyes are steady on mine, searching. I look away. "Maybe you should mind your own business." "Maybe I'd rather mind yours," he murmurs. And just like that, my pulse betrays me, hammering in my ears. It wasn't always like this. First, I hated him. Truly, deeply, passionately. Every encounter was a battle. Him smirking, me fuming. Our words like daggers thrown across the table. But somewhere in the months of stolen seats and sharp banter, something shifted. I noticed the way he stayed late after closing, wiping down tables alone. The way he remembered every regular's order, even when they didn't tip. The way his smile dimmed when he thought no one was watching. Adrian wasn't just a smug stranger. He was complicated, And complication is dangerous. Today, the tension is worse than usual. Maybe it's the rain tapping against the window. Maybe it's the way his knee brushes mine under the table, just enough to make me hyper-aware of every inch between us. "Ethan," he says suddenly, softer than I've ever heard. I glance up, surprised. He's not smirking this time. His expression is serious, almost vulnerable. "What?" I ask cautiously. "Do you ever wonder why I always sit here?" I blink. "To annoy me?" He laughs, but it's short, almost sad. "Maybe at first. But not anymore." Something in his tone makes my chest tighten. I don't know what he's about to say, but I know it will change everything. Before I can press him, a group of noisy students bursts in, breaking the moment. Adrian leans back, mask slipping back into place, and just like that, the opening is gone. But the question lingers. Why does he always sit there? Why does he always stay, always push, always look at me like he knows something I don't? And more importantly, why am I terrified that I want to find out? The rain continues outside, steady and relentless. Inside, the cafe hums with chatter, but at our table, silence hangs heavy, filled with everything unsaid. And for the first time, I realize this isn't just about a stolen table. It never was. It's about him. It's about us. And no matter how much I fight it, some part of me already knows this story isn't ending the way I planned. Adrian has this way of looking at me that feels like both a challenge and a confession. It's infuriating, and yet every time his gaze lingers a second too long, my chest feels tight, like I've forgotten how to breathe. I tell myself it's just because he's smug, because he knows he's gotten under my skin. But that excuse doesn't hold up anymore. Not when I catch myself replaying our conversations in my head long after I've gone home. Not when my hands shake slightly every time he leans close, as if the air between us is electric. And definitely not when I dream about him, dreams I refuse to admit to anyone, especially myself. The rain outside turns into a storm, thunder rolling low over the city. The cafe grows cozier in contrast, all warm lights and the hiss of steaming milk behind the counter. Most customers are laughing, scrolling through phones or chatting, but Adrian hasn't stopped watching me. "You're not even pretending to read today?" I finally snap, nodding at the book lying abandoned in front of him. "Maybe I found something more interesting to watch," he says smoothly. I roll my eyes so hard it hurts. "You're insufferable. And yet you keep sitting here." His grin softens just slightly, enough to make my stomach flip. "Why is that, Ethan?" I hate when he turns the question on me. I hate even more that I don't have a good answer. "Because it's my table," I say flatly. "No," Adrian replies, voice low, almost a whisper beneath the cafe noise. "It's ours." The word hangs in the air like a live wire. Ours. I should scoff, should laugh in his face, but my throat feels too tight. Instead, I retreat to my laptop, fingers flying across the keys without thought. Anything to drown out the echo of that word in my head. Adrian doesn't press, just watches, his expression unreadable. When I finally glance up, he's smiling again, but it doesn't reach his eyes. 2 days later, it happens. I walk into Latte Haven expecting the usual battle for the table, bracing myself for his smirk. But when I glance to the corner, he's not there. For the first time in a year, the table is empty. I freeze, coffee line forgotten. Something is wrong. Adrian doesn't just not show up. I slide into the chair, staring at the space where he should be, where his cup should rest, where his knee should brush mine under the table. It feels wrong. Too quiet. I tell myself I don't care, that I should be glad. Finally, the table is mine again. I should be relieved. But the truth? The truth is that the cafe feels hollow without him. He doesn't show the next day either. Or the day after. On the 4th day, I finally ask the barista, a girl with curly hair and an endless supply of sarcasm. "Hey, where's Adrian?" I try to sound casual, but my voice cracks halfway through. She raises an eyebrow. "Sick. He's been holed up at home. Didn't think the king of this place could get the flu, but I guess even he's human." Sick. The word twists something sharp in my chest. "Do you know his address?" I ask before I can stop myself. She smirks. Oh, so that's what this is. You like him. I nearly choke. I do not. Relax, writer boy, she interrupts, scribbling an address on a napkin. He'll probably appreciate company. He's terrible at resting. I take the napkin, my hands trembling. This isn't. It's not what you think. Sure, she says, clearly not believing me. It takes me 20 minutes to convince myself to knock on his apartment door. The hallway smells faintly of old carpet and someone's leftover Chinese takeout. My heart is racing, palms sweaty, and I'm 1 second away from bolting when the door creaks open. Adrian stands there, pale, hair a complete mess, eyes heavy with exhaustion. He looks nothing like the confident owner who always seems untouchable at the cafe. Ethan? His voice is raspy, confused. I swallow hard. Hey, just checking in. For a moment he just stares. Then, slowly, a small, genuine smile spreads across his face. You came. My chest does that annoying tight thing again. Yeah, don't make it weird. Inside, his apartment is warm but cluttered. Books stacked in uneven towers. Coffee mugs scattered on every surface. It feels lived in, intimate, a stark contrast to the polished version of him I see every day. He collapses onto the couch, pulling a blanket around his shoulders. I hover awkwardly before finally sitting on the edge of the armchair across from him. You didn't come to the cafe, I blurt out. He laughs weakly. Guess I was missed. I don't answer. I can't. Instead, I fuss over him bringing water, making sure he takes medicine, trying not to notice the way his head tips against the couch, exposing the vulnerable line of his throat. At some point, his eyes flutter shut, and he murmurs, half asleep, Didn't think you cared. My heart clenches so painfully I almost can't breathe. I don't answer, because the truth is too big, too heavy. And if I say it out loud, everything will change. By the time I leave, the storm has cleared. The city glitters with wet pavement and streetlights, and for the first time in months, I feel something terrifyingly close to hope. Because maybe, just maybe, this fight between us isn't really about a table. Maybe it never was. The next morning, he's back at Latte Haven. And when I walk in, he's sitting at our table, as always. But this time, there's no smirk, no challenge. Just a quiet smile, and an empty chair waiting for me. When I sit, his knee brushes mine under the table again. But this time, I don't move away. And maybe, just maybe, that's the beginning of something I can't fight anymore. The days blur together after that. We fall into the same routine coffee, banter, stolen glances, but something has shifted. The sharp edges are softer now, our words threaded with something unspoken. And every time his hand brushes mine when we both reach for the sugar, every time his gaze lingers a second too long, I know, this isn't just a game anymore. It's something real, something dangerous, something I can't stop wanting. But if life has taught me anything, it's that happiness never comes without a cost. And I have no idea what price we're about to pay. The shift between us is subtle, but once it begins, I can't unsee it. Adrian doesn't just tease anymore. He lingers. His eyes don't just challenge. They soften when he thinks I'm not looking. And every time I pack up my laptop at the end of the day, he always finds some excuse to walk me halfway home, claiming it's on his way. Even when it obviously isn't. The city feels different with him at my side. The streets aren't just sidewalks and traffic anamorphy stories waiting to be written, moments that press themselves into my memory. And every time he laughs at something stupid I say, every time his arm brushes mine in the dark, I feel myself falling deeper into something I've spent my whole life trying to avoid. Because falling means risking, and risk means pain. One night it happens. It's late past closing. I stayed too long at the cafe, words spilling onto my laptop screen while the world outside turned black. When I finally look up, the cafe is empty except for Adrian, wiping down the counter. You know, most people don't linger after hours unless they're paying rent. He teases, tossing the rag onto a chair. I smirk. Maybe I should start charging you for inspiration. Oh, so you're the muse here? He asks, walking toward me. His steps are slow, deliberate. My pulse quickens with every one. By the time he reaches the table, the air feels heavy, charged. He leans against the edge, just inches away, and my laptop suddenly feels like the thinnest shield in the world. "Ethan," he says quietly, all teasing stripped from his voice. I swallow hard. "What? You ever wonder why I never sat anywhere else?" The question again. But this time, there's no noise, no crowd, no storm to interrupt us. It's just him and me, and the silence between us is unbearable. "Because you're stubborn," I manage. His lips twitch. "That too. But mostly because you were always here, and I didn't want to miss a second of that." My breath catches. The words slam into me, cracking something open that I've tried desperately to keep locked away. "Adrian," I start, but my voice breaks. Before I can finish, he leans closer, so close I can feel his breath against my cheek. "Tell me to stop," he whispers, but I don't. I can't. And then his lips are on mine. The kiss isn't gentle. It's years of tension crashing into one desperate moment, a storm breaking all at once. His hand cups the side of my face, fingers threading into my hair, pulling me closer like he's afraid I'll vanish. And God help me, I kiss him back. Every excuse, every wall I've built, every denial I've clung to all shatter the second our mouths meet. When we finally break apart, breathless, he presses his forehead against mine. "I've wanted to do that since the first time you glared at me," he admits with a shaky laugh. I should push him away. I should remind him that this is complicated, messy, dangerous. But all I can whisper is, "Me too." The weeks that follow feel unreal. We don't announce anything. To anyone else, we're the same as before, bantering, arguing, pretending. But beneath the surface, everything has changed. Our stolen moments are quiet but electric. His hand brushing mine under the table. A kiss pressed to my neck when no one's looking. Whispered conversations in the back room after closing. It feels like living a secret story only we know. And yet, in the back of my mind, fear lingers. Because happiness like this never lasts. Not for me. I find out how right I am one Friday evening. The cafe is packed, the hum of conversation filling every corner. I'm seated at our table, typing, when a sharp voice cuts through the noise. "Adrian Collins." I look up to see a tall man in a tailored suit storming toward the counter. His hair is slicked back, his expression thunderous. He looks like someone who's used to being obeyed, not questioned. Adrian stiffens the moment he sees him. "Father," he says, voice clipped. "Father." My stomach drops. The man glances around the cafe with disdain, then back at Adrian. "What is this nonsense? Running a coffee shop? Throwing away everything we built for you?" I freeze. "We built. This isn't just a family argument. This is bigger." Adrian straightens, jaw tight. "This is my life. My choice." His father scoffs. "Your choice? Do you have any idea what people are saying? You were supposed to take over the firm, carry on the family legacy. And instead you what? Playing barista." The cafe has gone silent. All eyes are on them. Adrian's fists clench at his sides. "I'm not playing anything. I'm building something real. Something that's mine." "And who is this?" His father's gaze lands on me, sharp as a knife. Another distraction? Heat floods my face. I open my mouth to protest, but Adrian is already in front of me, blocking his father's line of sight. "He's none of your business," Adrian says firmly. The older man's expression twists. "Everything about you is my business. And as long as you're my son, you will not embarrass this family with this." His voice drips with disdain, with something darker, something that makes my chest ache. That night, after his father leaves, Adrian doesn't speak. He just sits at our table, staring at his hands, jaw tight. I want to reach for him, to say something, anything, but the words feel clumsy, useless. Finally, I whisper, "Adrian." He looks up, eyes full of something raw. Fear, anger, desperation. "I can't lose this place," he says, voice breaking. "I can't lose you." My throat tightens. "You won't." But even as I say it, I'm not sure it's true. because the storm we've been pretending we could outrun has finally caught up to us. And I don't know if love is strong enough to weather it. The following week is hell. Adrian is distracted, distant. Every time I reach for him, he pulls back, not out of rejection but out of fear. Fear of being seen. Fear of what comes next. And I hate it. I hate watching him crumble under the weight of a world that doesn't understand us. But more than that, I hate how much it hurts to realize I might lose him before we've even really begun. One night, I corner him in the back room after closing. "Talk to me," I demand. He runs a hand through his hair, looking exhausted. "Ethan, I don't know what to say." "Say the truth," I shoot back. "Say what you want, because if you don't, your father wins. He gets to decide your life for you." Adrian's eyes flash with pain. "And what if what I want ruins everything? What if I can't give you the life you deserve?" I step closer, my hands trembling. "I don't need perfect, Adrian. I just need you." Silence. Heavy. Unbearable. Then, finally, his hand finds mine. And even in the middle of all the chaos, that simple touch feels like a promise. But promises are fragile. And when his father makes his next move, everything we've built threatens to come crashing down. Adrian's father doesn't fight clean. He doesn't storm the cafe again or scream in public. No, sends lawyers, letters, threats wrapped neatly in envelopes with the family crest on the corner. He knows how to suffocate without raising his voice, how to choke someone until they feel like breathing is a privilege. And Adrian, stubborn as he is shaken. The cafe becomes quieter, tenser. He stops joking with the regulars, stops smiling behind the counter. Some nights I find him sitting alone in the dark after closing, staring at the empty chairs like he's trying to figure out if the fight is worth it. And every time, I want to scream at him, "It's worth it. You're worth it. We're worth it." But fear keeps me silent, because part of me wonders if he'll choose safety, if he'll let go of me before I can hold on tighter. The breaking point comes on a Saturday morning. The cafe is packed, rain drumming against the windows, and I'm at our table, waiting. But Adrian doesn't come out from the back. Minutes turn to an hour. Whispers start, customers asking why the owner isn't around. Finally, I slip through the employees-only door and find him sitting on the floor, head in his hands. My chest twists. "Adrian," I whisper. He looks up, and I see the fear, the exhaustion, the weight of everything pressing down on him. "I can't do this," he says hoarsely. The words slice through me. "What do you mean?" His jaw trembles. "My father. He's threatening to cut me off, to take the building, the lease. I'll lose everything." I drop to my knees in front of him. "You won't lose me." He shakes his head, eyes glistening. "Ethan, I don't want to drag you down with me. You deserve better than this mess." Anger surges through me at him, but at the world, at his father, at the cruelty of it all. "You don't get to decide what I deserve," I snap, grabbing his hand. "I don't care about the cafe. I don't care about the money. I care about you. Don't you get it? I'd sit at a broken table in a rundown alley if it meant sitting there with you." His lips part, breath shaky. "Ethan." Before he can say more, I kiss him fierce, desperate, like the world is ending and this is the only thing that matters. When we pull apart, I press my forehead against his. We fight, together, or not at all. And for the first time in days, his smile flickers back. Small, fragile, but real. The fight is brutal. Weeks of legal battles, sleepless nights, endless stress. His father throws everything he has at us: money, influence, power. But Adrian refuses to break. And with me beside him, he doesn't fight alone. The regulars rally around us. They sign petitions, write letters, flood social media with support for Latte Haven. Students, artists, office workers, all the people who found a home in Adrian's cafe refuse to let it vanish. And slowly, the tide turns. His father can't fight the entire city. He can't silence a community that refuses to be quiet. In the end, he retreats, not defeated, not apologetic, but outmatched. And Adrian stands taller than I've ever seen him, exhausted but unbroken. The night we win, the cafe is alive with celebration. Music, laughter, lights strung across the windows. People raise their cups and toasts, and for the first time, Adrian looks free. He finds me in the corner and pulls me close. "This place," he says softly, looking around at the cafe filled with life. "It's not just mine anymore. It's ours." My chest aches with something so fierce, so overwhelming, I can barely breathe. "You mean the table?" I tease weakly. He laughs, eyes crinkling. "The table, the cafe, my whole damn heart." And before I can reply, he kisses mess off this time. Slow, a promise written against my lips. Months later, life feels different. Not perfect, never perfect, but real. I still write at our table every morning. Adrian still teases me, still smirks when I glare at him, still drives me insane in the best possible way. But now, when our knees brush under the table, I don't flinch. I lean in. Sometimes, when the cafe is quiet, he'll sit across from me, our hands tangled together, and whisper, "Remember when you hated me?" And I'll grin and whisper back, "I still do, just less now." But the truth is, I don't hate him. I never did. Because somewhere between stolen tables and stolen kisses, between battles and storms, Adrian Collins became home. One evening, as the sun dips low and golden light spills across the cafe, he slides into the seat beside me instead of across. He doesn't say anything at first, just watches me type, his shoulder pressed against mine. Finally, he murmurs, "You ever think about how it all started? One stupid table." I laugh, leaning my head against his. "Best mistake of my life." He presses a kiss to my temple. "Mine too." And in that moment, I know no matter what storms come, no matter how messy or complicated life gets, this love is worth every fight. Because he may have stolen my table, but I stole his heart. And somehow, against all odds, we both won. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.